This kitchen has existed in my head for a very long time. I wanted it to feel like an old, cozy farmhouse, kind of mixed with my Grandma Vita's kitchen. Warm woods, worn textures, coffee brewing in the corner, something simmering on the stove. But I also needed it to have like the functionality of Gordon Ramsay's kitchen because apparently my expectations for life are extremely reasonable. And honestly, my toxic tree is always thinking, yeah, I can totally do that. We can do that ourselves. It's going to be super easy. Which is exactly how we ended up here, attempting DIY concrete countertops using the Z Countertop Forms system as complete beginners. There's always something deeply unhinged about letting your frugality steer one of the most important and heavily used parts of your home. But after rebuilding so much of this place, just Brian and I, buying a pre-made countertop just didn't feel right, and honestly, it just wasn't in our budget either. So this is either going to turn out beautifully rustic and charming, or become a very expensive character building experience.
Some things that no one told us is this stuff is black and you're going to want to mark on it. I'm using a gold marker. It works pretty good. Normally we have a Sharpie, does nothing, you can't see it. So I would suggest having some sort of metallic marker that you can mark this up with.
Something else to note here is none of the mesh or the framing system comes with its own screws. So make sure you buy lots of screws.
When we're measuring corners, if you know how to do it, disregard everything I'm saying. We didn't know how to do these corners. So the corners of your wood or your cement board, measure to this inside bit, not this, not this. This is what you're measuring to that corner bit. And it was actually easier for us to do this side and this side than just measure from inside corner to do this end. Hopefully that'll help someone because we spent about 5 attempts doing that. Another trick that we learned, and this might be super obvious for some people, but to amateurs like us, it was not obvious. When you have a piece to cut that has an angle on one side and a straight edge on the other, we just cut the inside 45-degree angle first, then brought it in here, measured and marked the actual piece and cut the straight edge, because it is so much easier to just cut down the straight edge if you've cut it too long than to continually cut this angle. Get your angle right, cut the 45, and then just cut down your straight side. Operation framing and duct taping is complete. Took so much longer than what we thought. We made sure to tape all of the seams where there were 2 pieces of plywood meeting, and we made sure that the cuts on the plywood were where there were cabinet breaks, not in between. Framing out around the oven was a little trickier than what we thought. There's some tutorials on their website that show how to use the wood, but we actually ended up using one of the backer pieces and wood for ours because we think that'll work better for our situation. This had to slip underneath the foam, so we not only screwed down the foam, but we did a little duct tape around the edges just because there was a little tiny lip right there and we didn't want anything to fall in between. And there's just a lot of little spaces, like if there's a crack there, you have to make sure to duct tape it underneath. This corner was horrible. It was really rough. And I'm super nervous about pouring the concrete up against our cabinet, but I think that's our only option. So I guess we'll let you know how it goes in the end. If anyone is curious what your saw and your whole work area will look like after cutting the Z Counterform stuff, it's really messy. It's really messy. And those of us who were cutting it are also covered in this. So I recommend goggles or a face shield. Prepare to be covered in black plastic debris. Doing this part with the mesh and the risers was actually super easy. I did this at like 1 a.m. because I couldn't sleep that night. There are some tips I would tell you. Wear gloves. The mesh doesn't feel like it's going to bother your skin at first because it's relatively soft, but it is like, I think it's fiberglass, and as you cut it especially, it does have like these little fine sharp fibers that do just really irritate the skin, and it doesn't feel great, so wear gloves. The second thing that I would like to point out is you can kind of see on the edges there where we've cut the fiberglass mesh. Make sure that those cuts are kind of angled downwards or that they're really low, because there were some places where we had a cut in the middle of the countertop and we kind of had those edges wanting to poke up through the concrete after we poured it, even when it was at its full height. So we were able to kind of just shove it back down and correct it, or like cut them off while the concrete was still wet. But had I known that it was like that close to the surface, I would have adjusted how I did it a little bit in the future. Having watched a lot of YouTube videos on different people doing these concrete countertops, the one thing that Brian and I definitely decided to do was cover everything in plastic, because our lower cabinets are all custom painted. So we really didn't want to mess up the finish of the paint. It took us forever to get them here. So this is 3 rolls of plastic. This was probably the easiest part of the project so far. This took 15 minutes. Totally worth the time to just cover everything in plastic, including the floors, by the way, because I saw several people dripping concrete onto their floors, and this whole house is new construction. I really don't want to ruin our new floors. So even the side of the refrigerator and everything we have covered. So just take a few extra minutes. I think it's definitely worth the time. The tools that we are using to get this job done are whatever this one is. I think it's a trowel. Oh, it says on it. Yeah, a finishing trowel. 14-inch finishing trowel. This one is a magnesium float. I don't really know why, but that's what we're supposed to use. I'm only using the multi-tool because it vibrates so much. That's going to be I'm gonna do this along the edges to hopefully vibrate the bubbles out. And I did not want to buy a screed, so we cut a piece of wood, and I'm using that as my screed, and then I have a wet towel. So this is my homeowner's DIY toolkit for this project.
Don't know why I don't mind losing. Don't need to win like I used to. All I need is your heart beating, so I can follow your breathing. Don't hesitate, it's not too late. Oh, what are we waiting for? I wanna be your freedom. War is no way.
I think we're a little over a third of the way through. Not quite to halfway, but pretty close. Feeling a lot more confident about it now. The original stuff I think is more texturous because of the two different consistencies we had. But as it's drying, we're able to continue the finishing process and smooth it down. Something I didn't realize is the stuff that you first pour, there's not just bubbles on the side, there's continual bubbles in it. And if you just trust the process, as it's drying and you just keep going over and over and over and over it with your magnesium float, they will start to smooth out. And you can see here, it's really smoothed out. There are a couple areas, because we have pigment in ours, that I'm a little concerned. It looks like with the water that's coming to the surface, some of the pigment is too. So I'm trying to catch those and blend them as I see them. But I'm feeling better about it. So we're just gonna keep plugging along. All right, we started these countertops 7 hours ago. This is the side we started with. This is the texture we have gotten it down to. I'm pretty pleased with this, honestly. This is just with the different tiers of troweling. The drier it gets, you switch from the magnesium float to the finished trowel. And you press a little bit harder. It seems really scary, but you get a nice effect. If ladybug's crawling across, that's our foam. But over here where we finished, this is still wet. So it is not nearly dry enough to use the finished trowel on yet. We're still just coming back every like 30 minutes, I'd say, and popping air bubbles with the magnesium float. And this is where it's at right now. But the other side looked just like this, so I feel confident we will get it to match the other side. Give yourself all day for this. It's like we started in the morning and we just ate dinner, so it's an all-day project, guys. All right, we are to the next day. Now we're not quite to 24 hours, so we're not gonna take the framing off yet, but they are hard. You can touch them, and I thought everyone would like to see. So we used the linen pigment in ours, and this is really cool. I wish the countertops had this everywhere, but they don't. I don't know if this is because we really finish troweled heavily here. I mean, we did pretty much everywhere, but some areas have more like color variation than others. But let me see if I can get close. You can see the texture. The edges, I will definitely say, have far more texture than the centers. We were able to get the centers just really, really smooth with the trowel, so that's exciting. Now this side, you can see, doesn't have as much color variation. It does in spots, but it doesn't have as much as over there, which is okay. I would be interested in doing this in the future to know what techniques we did to bring it up, if it's more water or less water. I suspect this area, remember we started, was really soupy and watery. So I'm gonna guess the higher the water content. And you know what, maybe as today goes on and they dry even further, maybe this gets lighter. Maybe this is because it hasn't fully dried. It doesn't feel wet, but who knows? This is the last side we did. and it was much thicker. It was much thicker over here. So you can kind of see, this is what the texture looks like. Which you could see our trowel line right there. I'm very excited to see what these edges are gonna look like once we take the framing off. Because some of what looks rough is just what's on the actual frame. Obviously, we're gonna sand these as well. But I mean, you can see they're shiny. So really, really, really pleased with how this has turned out. For this being our first time, pretty excited. Later on today, we will take the frames off and I will show you how that looks. All right, it has been a full 48 hours and we're going to, or no, sorry, it's been a full 24 hours and we're gonna remove the framing. Okay, so I see some air bubbles, but not like a crazy amount. We actually really like sort of the natural porous surface kind of vibe. Wow, it's really smooth. Super, super smooth. The color is very cool. That's really exciting.
Corner came out really nice.
Oh, it did.
Nice and smooth. It's got a little bit of
The
air
underside.
pockets down here on the bottom. Feel it? But it's kind of cool looking.
Oh, you can really see like the glassy finish of how smooth it is there. That's wild.
Okay. Can't break this one off.
So pretty. We were really nervous about this corner over here because it butts up against a wall, but it turned out pretty nice. I mean, obviously we have to sand off. We have to sand these edges a bit, and then our backsplash tile will go here and we'll caulk along that seam. Okay, so you're getting to see these at the same time we are. This is our stove insert. And we kind of made channels that the concrete would go in. Not perfect by any means. Oh. Mine's gonna take some muscling, I think. Should you take the... Okay, it kind of worked. You can still see the plywood below, but it does go down to it. And I think our stove will cover where the plywood is for the most part. We thought it would cover the plywood a little bit more. So this corner looked pretty bad from over there, but it really is like sticking out a lot. So all this will be sanded off and this side's really smooth and good. So I think we're fine here. It just needs sanding of the excess from our wood frame off. This was the very first side we did. This corner was, oof, was really rough here. We kind of created a system for right here. I wish this little tiny nick right there wasn't there. But I think with some sanding, that will be just fine. Really pleased with the amount of air bubbles. There's not that many, and the ones that are there just really add to the effect. It's an inside corner. So Brian just took out the foam insert where our sink is going to go. We were pretty nervous about this part, honestly, because, you know, the weight, we have a top mount sink, a drop-in, not an undermount, and all the videos showed undermounts. So the weight of our sink is going to have to be supported by here, this little strip, and this little strip. So it was really important to us that they were, you know, really strong and durable and well done. So we spent a lot of time on this area, making it level, flat, so that our sink would sit flush on it. And we really worked hard on getting air bubbles out. It has the mesh in it, even though it's really skinny. We still have mesh in both of these. Looks pretty good, honestly.
Super happy with it.
We are going to be filling some cracks today. I've got a couple of these, and after researching a bajillion different products, that's officially the number of how many I researched, this is what we're going for. Choose what works best for you. For us, this is what we think is gonna work best. Let's find out if I'm right or not. This is just a spray bottle of water. These are my tools. Let's do this.
A strange little city, an evening so quiet, but something is growing. I heard the signs of life, those signs of life. Oh, the light, it is changing on every river and road. Oh, the light, it is changing, and it is time to let go. Step out on your own. A strange little moment takes over your skin. You're thrown in the water. Well, now's your time to swim. Your time to swim. Oh, the light is changing on every ray.
After 2 rounds of spritzing the crack, I decided to add a little bit more because it looked like it had settled in some. So I added more, leveled again, sprayed again. So we sprayed 3 times and I filled the crack 3 times. And we're gonna fill it again in another 15 minutes. And I think I'll probably spray that again 2 more times since I added to that. They are all around the sink. And it's in these corners, it's in the corners that these cracks happen so often. This was by far the biggest crack. I probably should have shown this one first. You can see here, this one was by far the biggest crack. I'm, again, not as worried about the sides and the crack there because we're looking for a very rustic look, but I wanted the top and the stability to have the crack filled. And I'm hoping, I can't really see through, but I'm hoping that inside here that this sand mixture has penetrated.
And then, in true DIY fashion, things got a little chaotic. After filling these cracks, we somehow completely forgot to film the sanding process. But you know what? It's honestly probably for the best because it was really just hours of concrete dust and Brian and I getting really cozy with the orbital sander. It really wasn't that bad though, in all honesty. So we let the countertops cure for about another 10 days. While, of course, we still actively live here, which quickly taught us that unsealed concrete stains if you so much as breathe near it wrong. Sitting a cup down on the countertop for 3 seconds, stain. Tiny oil splatter from another room, also somehow stain. So originally, we used the linen color pack from the Concrete Countertop Solutions with their white countertop concrete mix. But once everything cured, we just kind of looked at it and it was way more subtle than we expected it to be, and they weren't really giving us that old farmhouse rustic character that we'd envisioned. So instead of panicking, naturally, we decided to experiment even more. We pivoted and we layered in the Z Aquatint dyes in the colors wheat and cola to try and bring in more warmth, depth, and variation. While of course hoping that we didn't completely ruin the countertops in the process. Have we ever done this before? Absolutely not. Was I having cold sweats through the entire thing? Yes. Yes, absolutely I was. The Aquatint dyeing process dries super fast, so the next morning, the very first thing you better bet your bottom dollar we did was seal those countertops. And I did a ton of research. We knew we wanted a matte sealer that penetrated and was really, really good. So we used Ovation from the Concrete Countertop Institute, and I cannot recommend it enough. You mix it like they say in a spray bottle, you spray it on, you roll it on. We used their roller. It was the easiest thing I've ever done. I just followed the instructions. They even have an instruction video on their website. And having lived with it now for a couple of months, it is the best sealer ever. I will never use anything but this stuff.
Please keep in mind the kitchen is not done. We're missing filler pieces and toe kick. And there's an end piece here, which is why this is taped. And we're finishing this wall and wallpapering it, and there's no backsplash. So just disregard those things. We're just talking about the countertop here. It is done now. We were going for a super rustic, like a piece of leather that's been hit with chains and scratched and that kind of vibe. That's the energy we wanted for this countertop. And I really think that we achieved it. The seal, I cannot praise this sealer enough. I did a lot of research on this sealer, and I would recommend it 1,000,000 times over to people because it was fantastic. We still need to install the sink. Even the places where we had cracks, after we did the filler and then the stain, I think that they just really go with the whole vibe. Plus the sink will come out to here and go up to the front and really hide even a lot of that. So some things that I wish I knew that worked just fine for the look we were going for were because these cabinets sat here, not really being used, but I mean, we live here, so things touched them, or the way we sanded them, or how we moved the trowel along them when you dye will really show up. This is a trowel line. This is totally smooth. You can't feel that, but that is where there was a trowel line and the dye just didn't absorb there. This is where water got on the countertops. And maybe it was more than water. I don't think it was grease, but something got on the countertops before we sealed them. The dye did not adhere to it.
All in all, this was about a 2-week process. It was not everything we expected, but the results are amazing and we're very happy, and we'll definitely do them again in the future. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoy DIY projects, old houses, cozy chaos, the occasional construction-induced mental breakdown, hit subscribe and come hang out with us for more in the next one. Thanks.